Hello again, hello again. I am once again on the road, so doing my little on the road bloviation. Wait for a couple people here, but I am on my way down to San Antonio for a wedding of my good friend Brandon. My good friend Brandon of This Is Texas Freedom Force is getting married, so I'm heading down to, well, actually Bulverde, and gonna watch a good man get married to a good woman, and a good woman get married to a good man. So congratulations to Brandon, if you know him. Brandon of This Is Texas Freedom Force. You know, send him a congratulations or something like that, because it's a big day for him and his dog. Already starting a family there. But anyway, so last night, hey, howdy everybody. And if it starts getting, because I've gone through at least one storm so far on the way down to San Antonio. If it starts getting too loud and you can't hear me, just let me know, and I'll just restart after we get through the next storm cell or something. But right now it looks just fine. So last night, BLM and Antifa decided they were going to block the streets again and have another protest and, you know, just do what they do best, which is nothing good. And there was a shooting last night, and so there's all kinds of stories about it. So what I want to do is I'm going to give some of my opinions, and I'm going to give some facts, and I might be wrong and I might be right on some of it, but I'm going to tell you what the facts are, and then I'm going to tell you what I think. And when I'm telling you what I think, that means it's only based on analysis. It's not based on fact yet. So things are changing, and quite frankly, I'm hearing two completely opposite stories, but neither of which makes sense. Based on the video evidence that's out there. And so I'll give you kind of the brief roll-up, then I'll tell you what I saw in the videos. No, I was not there. I'll tell you about some conversations I've had with various people from different political persuasions about the issue and what each side is saying happened. And then you'll see why none of it makes any sense at all. So, first, the facts. The facts are that a man had an AK-47, perfectly legal, no problems. I have no problems with taking out rifles, obviously, and protesting. I don't care what side you're on. Was out protesting last night at this BLM rally. Now, he was a part of the rally. So, this is his own words. He was out there to protest. And at some point, this guy got shot and is dead now. Okay? Those are pretty much the only facts that anybody knows. A guy that was interviewed previously last night was, and this is a white guy, was carrying an AK-47, was at the BLM Antifa march in Austin last night, and is now dead. So, let me tell you what happened with all that. Oh, and the person that shot him, allegedly, was in a vehicle that was driving to, through, or at the protest. So I've seen several videos. Now let me go back and tell you what I've seen, and then I'll tell you what I heard, and then I'll tell you what I think. So and I've probably seen maybe 6 different videos, none of which show the actual shooting of what actually happened. So you kind of got to piece everything together, and then so, but you can listen and you can hear stuff. There's a video of a dash cam of somebody pulling up to an intersection where a protest march is happening, and off to the right side. So the light turns green, and the person's dash cam, as the lights turn green, he's trying to make a right turn. The protesters are coming at the individual's dash cam. And as he goes to turn, protesters kind of get in front of him and prevent him from completing the turn. But you see another vehicle to the right, basically going perpendicular to the dash cam, and he's going to try and make a right turn. So he's making a right turn, and then he suddenly slams on the brakes because there's a whole lot of people there. Now it looked like there was it looked like in the video there was space for him to go ahead and turn and drive off, but it looked like the car got surrounded. But anyway, the car turns around and steps on the brakes because there's obviously people there, slams on the brakes. There's another video from the protesters' point of view. So remember, the dash cam footage is pointing towards the protesters. The car that's in question turns and makes a right into the protesters. So in other words, the dash cam is now showing the rear tail lights, okay? So the next video I'm going to talk about, the camera guy is, if you were looking at the camera guy through the dash cam, the camera guy is on the left side of the protest. In other words, on the other side of where the vehicle is. So I'm watching this guy's video, and in this guy's video, you can't really see the car turn in, but you see a bunch of people start rushing towards the car. And because there's a bunch of protesters before the vehicle and the camera guy. Oh yeah, that's my my class of, I don't even know what it is. I think it's my Phi Theta Kappa tassel. Anyway, but suddenly you hear 5 shots coming from a rifle, and it sounds like, to me, an AK-47. Now keep in mind, let me back up a little bit before I get to the shots and all this other stuff. I'm gonna try and chronologically talk about the videos I've seen, even though I didn't see them in this order. I'm gonna try and chronologically lay them out. So there's a video of the guy that ends up ultimately getting shot, and he's got a face covering up to here, and he's carrying an AK-47 on him. Now apparently the guy's name is Garrett Foster. That's what I'm also seeing. The guy's name is Garrett Foster. And the person with the camera is interviewing him. It's about a 45-second video, very quick. And he asks him, why are you carrying an AK-47 today? Why are you carrying a rifle? And Garrett says that, well, they have already taken away our free speech and our ability to protest, so I'm exercising the rights that we have left. And then he talks about the fact that his roommate was arrested, and so he's there to kind of protest the fact that his roommate was arrested. He also talks about if he were to shoot a police officer, he would be killed. And so, because he does ask him, why do you have the rifle? And he says essentially that I'm here to exercise my rights. Well, there's a Facebook post from a couple days ago, I believe, that I saw as well, from allegedly Garrett Foster, the man that was killed, the man with the AR or the AK. And I think it was a Facebook, it might have been a tweet, where he says that Austin PD effed up, they have arrested my buddy. And then there are some Facebook posts as well from June, late June, I think June 26th, where he's got a picture of him saying 2 new additions to the family, which it's showing the AK, which is the same. Now in the interview video, all you can see is the stock of the AK-47. And the stock of the AK-47 in the video matches the stock of the Facebook photo of Garrett Foster. So it's probably the same AK-47. And then he's also got a handgun there in the picture. So it's most likely an AK-47. And then a couple days later, in early July, he posts another picture of his AK-47 with optics. Now again, I did not see any video Now, I did see another picture of him praying, or at least he's got his head bowed, with Black Lives Matter and Antifa protesters, and he is carrying that same AK-47 with the same optic. So even though I can't confirm, based on all of this, it probably was Gary. And I do know that, not Gary, I'm sorry, Garrett Foster was killed, because I've confirmed that through his friends, who I happen to be friends with. So I'm friends of his friends. So that's Garrett Foster. So I wanted to talk about that video first, the interview, because of the fact that he says that he's there marching with BLM, okay? So fast forward back to the protester video. So they're chanting something. I really can't understand what it is they're chanting, but they're chanting something stupid, I'm sure, as they're walking down the road. By the way, this was not a permitted event. I also contacted an APD contact I have, and asked if the event last night was permitted, and it was not. Okay, there was no permit to shut down streets or anything like that. That's straight from my APD contact. So this was essentially just a bunch of people blocking down roads and things like that. All right, in other words, breaking the law. I believe the official term for it is obstruction of a roadway. I know that because Almost Park tried to charge me with that. All right. So in this video, they're marching down, they're chanting something, and all of a sudden everyone is running towards to the left of the camera. And this is the same thing you see in the dash cam footage. As the car turns, suddenly people start running towards the car. Then you hear 5 shots. 5 shots. Those 5 shots come from what sounds to me like, well, for sure a rifle, but sound to me like an AK-47. I know what the report of an AK-47 sounds like because I've been shot at by AK-47s. I've shot AK-47s, and I've shot at people with AK-47s. All of this in combat. Well, except for shooting. I've shot AKs at targets as well, but in combat, I shot an AK-47 at other people, and I've been shot at by AK-47s. So I know what the sound is. It sounds like an AK-47, but it could be any rifle. It could also be potentially an AR pistol, because those have a very loud pop as well. But there's a very specific sound between an AK and an AR, and I really don't know how to describe it. The AK has a more throaty sort of popping sound. It's I don't know. I really can't describe it, but it's a deeper, more sonic, boomy type sound, and the AR is more of a metallic. It's a lighter sound. I mean, I can tell the difference. If you shot an AK and you shot an AR, I can tell you which one was which without ever looking at it. And I don't know how to verbalize what a sound sounds like. So, but there's definitely a difference, and it sounds like an AK-47. Then, after you hear 5, what I believe are rifle shots, there's about a 2-second pause, up to about 2 seconds, and then you hear 3 what sound to me like 9mm shots. Now, this is a cameraman that's probably, in my estimate, no more than 50 feet away from the gunshots, okay? No more than that. Probably about 50 feet away. I would max it at 70, okay? He's pretty close. He's close enough to actually hear the shots. So you hear 5, what I categorize as rifle shots, a pause, and then 3 pistol shots. There's another interview I saw with the mother, supposedly, of Garrett, the man that was shot, who says that her son was shot 3 times. That would corroborate with the 3 shots. Now, allegedly, based on who you talk to, well, this is where, okay, so those are all the facts. Those are all the facts that I hear, and I'm just doing the analysis on what kind of shots I think I'm hearing in these videos. If you go to my Instagram, Grisham CJ, I've got 2 videos up. One is the shooting, and one is the interview with the guy that was shot. All right. Now I'm going to get into what everybody's saying happened. And there are two completely different narratives. One narrative comes from a friend who gets his information from people who were there that he knows. The other narrative comes from the media, who gets their information from people who were there. So this is all third hand. It's people who were there who talked to the media that I read. It's people who were there who talked to my friend that I talked to. So it's all third party stuff. And I'm not going to identify anybody. The story that's out there is that this guy drove through a crowd, accelerated, and I'm using their words, not mine, accelerated, slammed his foot on the gas, charged, all that kind of stuff into the crowd. And that's when the shooting began. One story is from my friend, who, by the way, okay, let me also try to identify who these people are trying to claim is who. Allegedly, the person in the vehicle yelled out, "All lives matter." Now, that hasn't been corroborated. I've just seen some people saying that the man in the vehicle yelled, "All lives matter." I'm hearing people are saying that Garrett Foster, the man that was killed, was a Boogaloo type boy, on the right. He was a conservative, allegedly. I don't know of any Boogaloo boys that will march with Antifa and BLM. I don't know any. Now, in an unorganized fashion. Now, that said, I do know that we believe in free speech and that we also believe in police accountability. And so I, as well as others, have attended and actually even helped protect some of these protests that are against the police, against police abuse. But they were organized, they were permitted, they were nonviolent. And so I'm okay with that. I'm okay with those. This was not an organized event, other than probably just social media. Hey guys, come out or whatever. I don't know, word of mouth, whatever it was. There was no permits to go in the streets. It was just a bunch of idiots. I don't know any Boogaloo boys that take care of that take place that. In the interview, he talked about, if I shoot the police, I'm gonna get killed. I have never met anyone on the right, in the 3%ers, in the Oath Keepers, in the Boogaloo, in the Proud Boys. None of them have ever talked about shooting the police. None, ever, anywhere, have talked about shooting the police. We don't talk about that. Now, what we've talked about, of course, is defending against tyranny. And of course, if the government gets out of control, obviously the point of the Second Amendment is to defend yourself. But no one goes around talking about shooting the police, okay? I've never heard it. Maybe I'm in the wrong Boogaloo movement. I don't know. Are there two? Possibly. But the people that I hang around with don't go around talking about shooting cops. This guy did. Then, so there are people saying that, and this is coming from my friend, that the guy that was shot did not shoot anything, that the guy in the car drove around the corner, got out, and just started shooting. Shot 3 rounds and killed Garrett. That makes no sense. And this is coming from our side on the right. It makes absolutely no sense, because you don't hear 3 shots being fired. You hear 5 shots being fired, then 3 shots being fired. You hear 5 rifle shots and then 3 pistol shots. Supposedly there was another medic on the right that was with Garrett, and he's the one that shot the rifle, but he didn't shoot the rifle until after the guy got out and started shooting at these people. That doesn't sound right either, because again, unless the guy in the car had a rifle and the medic had a pistol, that doesn't make any sense. And that's possible. Again, we don't know all the facts about that yet. He's supposed to get back with me. Supposedly Garrett never fired a shot at all. I don't know that. Again, there's no video proving that specifically. Here's what I think happened. All right, here's what I think happened. Because why would a guy that's shouting "All Lives Matter" shoot at a Boogaloo guy? I hear also that the gunman, or I'm sorry, that the guy that was shot ran up to the car. When he ran into when the car went into the crowd, Garrett ran towards the car, probably in a threatening manner. I don't know. That's what the media says. And then the guy in the car opened fire on the guy with the rifle, which was Garrett. That makes a little bit, oh, I don't know. That doesn't make any more sense either, because it still doesn't explain the first 5 shots and the second 3 shots. That's going to come out as we go. What I do know is that nothing makes sense. None of it makes sense. From the stories I'm seeing in the media and from the stories that I'm hearing from people on the ground that talk to people I know. Yes, so Brian says you don't need a permit to peacefully assemble, but getting permits, you get certain police protection. Actually, that's partially true. You don't need a permit to peacefully assemble. The only time you need a permit is if you are going to or want to have exclusive access to public property, or if you want police protection, or if you're going to shut down streets, which is exclusive access to public property. So you do need a permit. You don't need a permit to exercise your First Amendment rights. In open carry Texas, we rarely, if ever, get a permit. Why? Because we stay on the sidewalks. We cross the roads when the lights are green, when it says to cross the roads. We don't just cross the roads and block traffic. But when we are going to do a rally, like say at the Capitol, where we want to be able to set up our stuff, and if we set up, like for example, a microphone and speakers and all that kind of stuff, well, that means that the general public can't access that property. And so because they're being denied use of that property, we get a permit. So there are sometimes we get permits, but it's very rare, and usually it's only when we want to use public property exclusively for the purposes of our speakers, our podiums, all that kind of stuff. That's the only time you need a permit. The only time you need a permit is when you want to restrict access to public property by others. That's it. Or if you want police protection, of course, and then you got to pay for that stuff. And so we don't generally do that. So the only reason that protest last night needed a permit is because they were literally walking down the street and blocking traffic. And if you get a permit, the police are able to block off the roads and alert the public that, hey, there's a protest ahead. If you just go and block the roads, of course cars are going to come up on a protest and not realize it, especially if you're not part of the protest. And what are you supposed to do? Well, you've got a place to go. So it's obvious that if you come up on a protest that you're unaware of, that's unpermitted, it's an illegal protest, illegal, just in that sense, then yeah, I'm using Google Maps. Sorry, I'm heading to San Antonio, but it's for my traffic. Where was I? Permits. Oh yeah. So here's what I think happened. I don't know. I'm not gonna say because I'm hearing that the shooter was a Boogaloo guy. I personally don't believe that. And even if he were, one of two things is happening here. Either he is on the right and he's infiltrating the left, or he's on the left and he's infiltrating the right. So he's either infiltrating the Boogaloo movement or he was infiltrating the BLM movement. Because nothing else makes sense based on his own words. His own words of the guy that was shot. I think what happened was this guy started driving around the corner. He slammed on his brakes because, oh crap, there's a bunch of protesters down here too. Got surrounded. One of the people that surrounded him was Garrett. And I might be wrong on this, and if I'm wrong, I'll again, this is just my opinion. I'm not saying what happened. This is just piecing together all the information. I think Garrett fired into the vehicle because he perceived the vehicle was a threat to the protesters. And then the occupant of the vehicle, after Garrett missed 5 times apparently, because he just bought his AK and his scope just a couple weeks ago, probably didn't know what he was doing with it. AKs are very weird when you start mounting stuff on them. Probably missed the shooter, or the guy in the car, and the guy in the car fired 3 shots and hit all 3 shots onto Garrett. The reason I say that that is probably more likely is that Austin police is saying that the shooter, the guy in the car, is cooperating with law enforcement. If the guy in the car was Antifa or BLM, they wouldn't be cooperating with law enforcement. Especially not to the degree that law enforcement would come out and say, he's cooperating. The shooter is cooperating. So a person with evil intent's not gonna just cooperate. So I honestly think this guy just drove up onto the protest, tried to get away from the protest, was surrounded, and somehow an exchange of gunfire came out there. That's my analysis of what happened, and all of that. All right, I'm kind of in some traffic. I'm not going to scroll through a whole lot. Banning mass gatherings on the auspices of traffic concerns is ridiculous. How easy would it be to violate the Constitution? Agreed, Justin. I don't think we need to be banning mass protests. But look, if you want to protest, by all means, go out there and protest. I don't care what you protest. You can protest as long as you do it peaceably, because that's what the First Amendment protects, is peaceably. But do it the right way. You don't need a permit as long as you're not going to block traffic. As long as you're not going to break the law. A permit, here's what a permit is. A permit is a permission slip to break the law. That's literally what it is. Think about this. The license permit, the license to carry. 4602 makes it a crime to carry a firearm in Texas, period. It's a crime. But Chapter 411 creates an exception. If you have a license, you are essentially exempt from the law. In other words, you're given permission to break the law. The purpose of a permit is to allow you to break the law. You're not allowed to block a roadway. You're not allowed to block a sidewalk. You're not allowed to occupy public property to the exception of others. But if you get a permit, you are. If you get a permit, you are. So that's what a permit is. And I'm okay with getting a permit and blocking off blocks of road to go and do your marches and all that kind of stuff. But with a permit, at least everyone else is made aware of what the route is and where they can and can't go and where they can and probably shouldn't go. All right. I didn't pay politicians for their opinions on how I carry. Agreed. Yes, they are literally the systematic inequality. So only causes with a little bit of support can demonstrate. If you have a cause, I don't think you're talking to me, are you, Justin? Is there somebody in the chat you're talking to? Yes, exactly. Was that RAS? Yes. Permits are exceptions to blanket prohibitions. Absolutely. Why wasn't Raz Simone arrested for breaking fire? Actually, I think he was arrested. I think Raz Simone was arrested because I saw a video of him. They were tracking him down, chasing him down. He jumped out of the car, was running away from the cops. The cops captured him, and I kid you not, the dude starts crying like a baby. Just crying like a baby. So he was arrested. I know that much. All right. Anyway, that's sort of those are my thoughts on what happened last night. Obviously, as more information comes out, I will talk about that. I think what you're going to see, of course, is those on the left are already starting to try and paint this as an attack by guys on the right. And that might be the case. And here's the thing. If our guys on the right were wrong, we need to call them out for it. We need to call them out for it. When they screw up, which is what I think Garrett did. I think Garrett screwed up, and he paid for it with his life, and he was wrong. If what I think happened is correct, and we need to be able to. We need to have the intestinal fortitude to recognize that. I just don't think. I don't know. I don't know him personally. Apparently, some people that I know do know him personally, and they say he was, a liberty-loving kind of guy. So we'll see. And that's there's shootings everywhere. No, there's not shootings everywhere. There was just the shooting in Austin, though. But wait, here's what it also shows, though. This is what it also shows. We don't play that crap in Texas. We don't play that crap in Texas. When you're gonna go around and somebody's gonna get shot if you feel threatened in Texas. And I don't know who felt threatened first, if Garrett felt threatened first or if the driver felt threatened first. But regardless, we have the right to keep and bear arms here in Texas to defend ourselves and defend others. And you don't want a shooting. The shooting should be the very last thing that you do on the force multipliers. Should be the very last thing you do. And that's only when you've exercised and eliminated all other options before you start shooting. And that's what we learned last night. We learned that, for good or bad, we'll figure out if the shooting was justified or not. Hopefully, I guarantee you, there's cameras out there that's got this stuff on camera, where we've got a much better vantage point on what happened and how. Now, Garrett supposedly was also pushing his girlfriend's wheelchair. His girlfriend's a quadriplegic. Was pushing his girlfriend's wheelchair when all this happened. And supposedly never fired a shot, but it was another guy that was with him. What was the horn blast before the shooting all about? So that's what I'm talking about. He goes to make a right-hand turn. Remember, these streets aren't shut off to a protest. If this was a permitted protest, the streets would have been shut down, and it would not have been able to. So likely, and again, nobody knows, but likely what happened was he turned down here, and people started surrounding his vehicle, and we're not letting him move, and he's just trying to go about his way. And so the first thing that he did was honk his horn to get people out of his way. That's part of that force. The first thing you do is, hey, please get out of the way. Move, get out of the way. Honk, get out of the way. And then if you have to, you defend yourself, okay? But what I saw was, as soon as he turned, what happens? The mob starts surrounding this vehicle. The mob started surrounding the vehicle. And that's when all hell broke loose. And I'm telling you, if a mob surrounds my vehicle, and I've already seen these protests, both here in Texas and around the country, these people are out of control. They just want to destroy things. That's it. So if you're in a mob and you're in an unpermitted protest and you start surrounding my vehicle, I'm gonna feel threatened. Okay, especially when you're screaming and yelling like I heard the people in the video do. So if you don't have a permit, the police cannot control traffic. I'm so very confused what the two have to do with each other. No, but what the police need to be doing is not controlling traffic, but they need to be controlling the people who are breaking the law by being in the streets. Should they have been controlling traffic as well? Yes, but how do you control traffic when you don't know? I mean, if it's not permitted, how do you know where they're even going? Where do you put the manpower? On every street corner in case they turn that way? I don't know. So, and again, I'm not taking sides here yet because I don't have enough information. I'm trying to push out what I think is going on here. But when you're breaking the law, the police have no duty to protect you. Well, even when you're not breaking the law, the police have no duty to protect you. But when you've got a permit, the police are able to shut down roads and alert the public that there's a protest going on here. If you don't have a permit, the police don't know where you're going. Nobody knows where you're going. Heck, these people probably don't even know where they're going. They're probably just marching, and then, whoever's in the front, it didn't look like it was organized. It just looked like a mob of people marching through the streets. So, sorry, I don't really have a lot of I don't really have a lot of sympathy when you're shutting down roads and people get run over. I just don't. There's a reason we have these laws, and it's not just those kinds of laws about blocking roads and stuff isn't about suppressing speech. It's about protecting people. The reason, I mean, you would think it's common sense. Don't walk down the freaking road. You would think so. But the government always, but here's why we have so many laws. We have laws because people have done stupid things that someone said we should probably have a law against that. Walking down the middle of a busy road is one of them. So there's that. I don't know. Yeah, the police have a duty to protect rights. Absolutely. That's what they have a duty to protect. All right. I'm gonna let that go. I don't really want to get into too many arguments or discussions about, well, I mean, I don't mind doing it. I just wanted to get the information out there about what happened, and then based on everything I've seen, I'm not convinced about, I'm just not convinced yet, okay? Unless it turns out that the guy in the car had the rifle, then it would make sense. If the guy in the car had the rifle and shot 5 rounds first, that would make sense that the medic that was with Garrett opened fire and fired 3 shots. What I'm being told is that the medic fired 3 shots after he was fired upon, after the guy got out of the car and started opening fire. I'm sorry, but that doesn't make any sense, because if you go around and finally you see yourself suddenly surrounded by a mob of people. Oh, that's the New York Times calling me. You turn a corner and you see yourself surrounded by a mob of people. Seriously, you're going to get out of your car? That's the safest place for you to be. If you're going to shoot, you shoot from inside your car. But yet the story I'm getting is the people that when Garrett was killed, from Garrett's friends, is that the guy got out of the car, comes around the corner, gets out of the car, and just starts shooting. But you look at the video, the guy goes around the corner and he immediately gets mobbed. Why would you get out of the car? I don't know. So I'm actually going to find out what the, you know what I'm going to do? Hey, I'm going to do something fun here. I'm going to do a live interview with the New York Times. Watch this. I'm going to let y'all hear it. Settings here real quick. Let me do some settings changes. I'm going to switch phones. So I can put my hands free on. Who knows what this is about? All right. Am I connected? Yes, I'm connected. I'm gonna let y'all hear this live interview with the media. Hopefully you can hear it. Give me a 1 if you can hear this well.
Hey, man, that was fast.
Hey, sorry I missed your call. What's going on?
Well, you barely did. Hey, well, I wish everybody called back like you did.
Well, I'm on the road on my way to San Antonio anyway.
Okay, that's all right. Well, hey, I appreciate you calling. I must say you're a lot more prompt than the police and the DA and other people I'm trying to call. But
that's just because I got nothing to hide.
Yeah, hey, there you go. Well, I wanted to ask you, Buddy Manny and I were working on this story about the shooting last night, but we kind of wanted somebody like you who's sort of an authority on guns and gun laws. And this guy was, the gentleman was, Mr. Foster was carrying a rifle. And is that, I mean, you guys carry them, and y'all are a different political, philosophical view, but was it dangerous for him to be doing that? And what do you say to that?
I don't think it's ever dangerous to carry a firearm in self-defense unless you're somebody that's going to threaten me. I think the whole purpose of carrying a firearm is to be prepared for any threat, but also to make people aware of your surroundings, that you're willing to defend yourself. So I mean, it's only dangerous, generally, it's only dangerous to the bad guy unless you are the bad guy. Then, of course, it's dangerous to everyone else.
Right. And in this case, that guy presumably was not the bad guy, right?
Well, I mean, he didn't sound like it. I don't know all the facts of what happened and who shot first and why.
Right.
But
Well, yeah, I mean, he never fired. One witness told me he was kind of approached the guy in the car. The gun was down, pointed downward, and this guy talked to the firearm stick out up the window.
So did the guy in the car have a rifle or a pistol?
Pistol.
See, so have you watched the video of?
Many has. I haven't watched it all, just parts of it.
So I don't think I buy that narrative, because as a matter of fact, I was just doing a video about this. I hear there are two sets of shots. There's 5 shots that sound like they come from a rifle of some sort, and then there's 3 shots that sound like they come from a pistol of some sort. The rifle sounds like an AK-47, and the pistol sounds like some sort of 9mm. It wasn't heavy enough to sound like a 45. It wasn't light enough to be a 350 or a 22, or I'm sorry, 380 or a 22. So I heard 5 shots, a pause, and then 3 shots, almost as if the 3 shots were in response to the 5 shots.
So so the 5 shots, what that sound like?
It sounded like an AK-47, but definitely a rifle.
Okay, so the first 5 shots sounded like an AK-47.
And I have been shot at in Iraq by AK-47s. I've shot in Iraq AK-47s at other people. I've shot AK-47s on the range. I know what a 7.62 round has a very specific kind of sound. And so to me, just based on that video, that's what it sounds like to me. I could be wrong based on the acoustics of buildings and things like that, but it sounded like a 7.62. The first 5 shots sounded like a 7.62, which is what the AK shoots. And then the next 3 shots,
it sounded like an AK-47.
yes. And then the next 3 shots sounded like a 9mm pistol.
Pistol, okay. So, so the guy who got killed was carrying the rifle, which is an AK-47, right?
Right. Now, and I'm not saying the guy that was killed shot anybody. I have heard that there was another person with him that did fire his gun, but I don't know if he had a rifle or not. There was somebody with Garrett, and I don't have names, but supposedly he was there to provide medical services to the protesters, and he's the one that fired. Supposedly he fired 3 rounds.
He did. Oh man! But did he have a pistol or a?
That's what I don't know, and it doesn't make any sense, because if the guy in the car is the one that fired the 5 rounds first, then he would have been firing a rifle, and so that's why this whole thing doesn't make sense to me right now.
Yeah, me neither. Now, because I was told by the witness, he heard 5 shots and then a pause and then 3 shots.
Yes.
He seemed to be thinking it was all from one gun.
Oh no, it was definitely not from one gun. Absolutely not.
Okay. Tell me, were you in the service in Iraq?
Yes, I was 21 years Army. I retired as a first sergeant.
Years Army. Returned as a first sergeant. All right. Yeah. And how long were you in Iraq?
I was in Iraq for 9 months. I was there for the main assault. So I crossed the border at midnight on March 20th, 2003, and fought my way up to Baghdad, and then fought my way over to Fallujah.
Wow! Oh man, I should have been with you. I was supposed to cover the air war then, and I was kind of stuck in Saudi Arabia, but that's another story. But at any rate, so the first 5 shots sounded like a rifle. the next three sounded like a 9mm.
To me, yes, in my opinion.
And so if Garrett didn't fire anything, somebody else with an AK-47 would have had to fire some of those first five, right?
Someone with a rifle, right, and a rifle that I believe was an AK-47.
Okay. All right. So I guess back to the kind of the broad philosophy or whatever thing it is we were talking about. Yeah. So if Garrett had Foster had a rifle at the protest, an AK-47 or even a deer rifle, he would be okay and within his rights to be doing that, right?
Well, yeah, because I mean, if you look at it, protesters are under attack from a wide variety of people. They're under attack by the police, and they're under attack by counter protesters. And I'm not taking sides on one side or the other. This is a protester, whether he's on the right or the left. So it's unfortunate these days that if you're going to exercise your First Amendment rights, you probably need to be exercising your Second Amendment rights as well, because you do have people that are shooting into crowds. I mean, look what happened down in El Paso. You know, you had that guy that hated Trump went down there and started shooting down there at counter protesters to a BLM rally. You've got people on the right who have driven through protest crowds and attacked those people that way. So you've got to be ready and prepared. And then of course you've got the police who are attacking everyone. So you've got to be able to defend yourself. So I don't have any problems with that as long as it's done responsibly and people are using the proper force for the proper issue. You don't just, you know, if someone just starts yelling at you, you don't pull out a gun and start shooting. That's just not the way it works.
Right. What do you use your gun for?
Well, again, the gun is to respond to protect your life with. If your life is being threatened by deadly conduct, then you have a right to defend your life with deadly conduct. But it's got to be mutual to the threat. If the threat is just that, you know, he's talking about your mom, well, that's not what a gun is for. A gun is for if a guy's about to run you over, or a guy is about to shoot you, or a guy's about to stab you, or stab another, or shoot another, or run over another person. That's what a gun is for. It's to protect life.
Would he have been within his rights if that car was heading in his direction?
Absolutely. If he couldn't get out of the way, if he could not get out of the way, or if other people's lives were in danger under Texas law, he would have had every right to open fire on that car.
Okay. And
now that said, people need to be very judicious, because when you start shooting and there's a crowd of people around, if you're not looking at your backstop and beyond, you know, it might just be that him running over people would kill fewer people than him starting to shoot at the car. So a responsible gun owner takes all of this into account.
Okay, right. Okay. And CJ, tell me your the organization name again. Is it still the same? And
it is, yeah. Is what?
CJ, initial C, initial J, Grisham, Grisham.
That's correct.
Hadn't changed the spelling, even though you're in law school. And the Waco and the military for 21 years, retired as a first sergeant.
Yes.
Combat experience in
And
Iraq.
I'm the founder of Open Carry Texas.
Right. Open Carry Texas. What do you think the driver's motive was if he fired the first shot? I guess if you don't know, though, if you're...
Well, I don't know, but what I think, my opinion is that the driver didn't even realize there was a protest going on. I looked at the video. It didn't look like he was like trying to run anybody over at all. As a matter of fact, I see him as soon as he turns the corner and he sees a bunch of people, he hits the brakes. So and he slams on his brakes and stops, and then a bunch of people start surrounding him, and then you start hearing gunshots. So I don't know what his motive is. Apparently he's cooperating with the police, and we'll find out soon what really happened. But what it looks like to me is because it was an unpermitted thing and there was no indication that there was a protest, in other words, streets being shut down, The guy was
Right.
just driving, came upon the protest, and tried to get away. But I don't know. That's just speculation.
Okay. So you don't really think he might have instigated it?
It didn't
know.
look like it. It didn't look like it to me.
Okay. All righty. Okay. Well, yeah, this is great.
All right. Well,
How's golf doing? Where are you in that process?
Well, getting ready to here in a couple of weeks. I'll be heading back to law school. Everything's different now. It's a hybrid class. Some stuff is online, some stuff is in person. But I found that I do much better in person. So so I'm gonna be heading back, and then I think this semester is really gonna suck because of COVID. They've really shrunk. The semester only goes to November instead of December, and we're gonna have classes on Saturdays. So it's gonna suck.
Right. Yeah, sounds like it.
I mean, law school's already hard enough without all this other nonsense going on.
Oh, true. Well, man, proud about it. It'll be great to hear that you got your degree. So.
Yep. But I'm doing well. I'm loving it. All right, David, take care of yourself.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. Well, I hope you all enjoyed that. That's kind of how my interviews go, and I'll probably get 4 words on the story. Out of all of that, I'll probably get 4 words, maybe a sentence. Who knows? I am 46 years old. Yes, I'm going to law school at 46 years old. And I wasn't the oldest guy in class when we first started, but I think now I am the oldest guy in my law school class. So it's proof that just because you're old, you're not out. Just because you're old, you're not out. And there are some people in there. We got one, and he might actually be my age. He's an actual doctor, so he's been through medical school. He's a friend of mine, and now he's going to law school. He wants to do like medical law and all that kind of stuff. No, I'll tell you though, if you're my age, if you're in your 40s and you're thinking about going to law school, here's my advice. If it's something you're passionate about, do it. You have got to be passionate about it, because let me tell you, at our age, learning new things and sitting still, and of course having to listen to snot-nosed Marxists who were given everything growing up and think that everybody's got to speak in order not to offend them. It's very hard to keep your mouth shut, and it's very hard to stay focused on all the things and the reading. And so I definitely recommend if it's something you're passionate about. But if it's not something you're passionate about, don't do it for the money, because it's just not worth it. Law school sucks. It's a pain in the ass. It's a pain in the ass. All right, I'm gonna let y'all go. I think I've got everything here. So the reason I wanted to record that is all my interviews are like that. I say a lot, and I know that it's probably not the best thing to do, because the more you say, the more they can take out of context. But now I have a record right here. And I thought it's interesting that here I am starting this live stream talking about the Austin shooting, and then right in the middle of my live stream, I get called by the media, the New York Times, about the Austin shooting. So y'all got to hear that. I'm glad you got to hear that. Now you'll get to go and see what the media is really like. David's a good guy. I don't do interviews with anyone else from the New York Times. Anyone. I do interviews with David, and we've talked offline a lot about stuff, because he's a good guy. He wants to get the whole story, and then it gets to the editors. They write their story, and it gets to the editors, and the editors want it to be slanted. And so they minimize what I have to say, or people on my side of the issue have to say, despite the fact that that's not what David put into his original story. And so they pare it down and minimize the conservative argument and maximize the liberal argument to suit their agenda. But now you've got the entire interview right here. I've got the entire interview right here. And I always record my media interviews as well, because sometimes they flat out lie about what I said, and then I've got to get involved and get them to print a retraction, which is stupid because they print it like on page 97, whatever. All right, y'all, stay safe, stay free, and school costs are 10 times. Yes. Oh my God. The only thing that I have going for me okay? And I am so thankful for the GI Bill, because the GI Bill is the only reason I'm able to afford law school. That's it. That's the only reason. It took 21 years of hell that I had to go through in order to get that benefit. But okay, Hakuna Matata, you're gonna have to go back, and I'm gonna end this live stream, and you're gonna have to go back and watch it from the beginning and read up to find out what happened with the shooting. I'm not gonna redo that. I hate bar attorneys. They're the problem with the corrupt judicial system. Well, the other problem is that if you're not a bar attorney, your ability to argue in many courtrooms is virtually gone. I do agree with you, though, that the problem is that too many attorneys care more about keeping their bar license than they do about justice. But I know some very good activist attorneys, and there are so few of them that you kind of know them all when you know them. There's so few activist attorneys, but as long as you're doing the right things and you're following the rules of civil procedure, the rules of criminal procedure that barred attorneys have to fall under, you're good to go. But if you want to represent someone else in court, you have to be a member of the bar. It sucks. I don't like it. I'm not saying I like it. But what I'm saying is there are a small number of attorneys who will not sell out just because they have a bar card. They don't care about being censured. They don't care about losing their bar because they're going to do what's right. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going into this for the right reasons. I'm not going to be a sellout. I'm going to stand up for what I believe. If a judge is wrong, I'm going to stand up to the judge. I'm not going to be afraid of judges. I'm not going to be afraid of prosecutors. I'm not going to be afraid of witnesses. And I'm not gonna play the game of, I've got to stand quiet. I had a great attorney in my first case here in Temple, or back there in Temple, Texas. But I had a great attorney in Blue Randefeld, and when the judge was wrong, the judge was screwing us over. And in the back room of the courtroom, he exhibited his bias in my case when he called me and my wife local yokels. And he said this behind closed doors so no one could hear it. Well, my attorney didn't give a shit about his bar card. He cared more about what was right. So when they came back into the courtroom, the judge asked the attorneys, my attorney and the prosecutor, do you have anything else to add before we get started on the record? And Blue stands up and he says, Your Honor, and he quotes everything that the judge said in judges' chambers, that they said in that little private meeting. And he says, you called my client this, you said you were going to do that, you said if you had your way, you'd throw my client in jail and teach him how to be good parents, and I demand that you recuse yourself. You're not an unbiased jurist. And he pulls out a toothbrush from his pocket of his jacket. He pulls out a blue toothbrush, and he says, and I brought my toothbrush. If I'm lying, I'm ready to go to jail. And he slams it on the table. This is in my trial. And of course, the judge just said overruled, and he stayed on. He didn't recuse himself, and the rest is history. And the State Commission on Judicial Conduct found that the judge's comments were egregious, but didn't amount to an injustice. And so they didn't censure him or anything. But anyway, there are some good barred attorneys. They're just few and far between. But I do agree with you. I do agree with you. And I'm going to be a bar attorney, okay? And I expect people to hold me accountable for that. Yes, we put in a judicial conduct complaint. Oh, I think I already talked about that. You probably typed that before I said anything. All right, now I'm really going to leave because we're almost at an hour of this. I do appreciate everybody. I have sent in some, oh, by the way, really quick, I'm going to keep this under an hour, so I got 30 seconds. I have submitted some open records requests to find out whatever I can. It's an open investigation, so I'm probably not going to get much about the shooting in Austin. To find out a little bit more information to go by, stay tuned. My PayPal is CJ Grisham if you want to help me, because I have a feeling they're probably going to charge me for a lot of documents. CJ Grisham. If you got the Cash App, I'm $CJ Grisham. I'm also on Venmo at CJ Grisham. If you want to help me, please do. You guys take care, be safe, be free, all right?